Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of the AD Think Tank on the Educational AD Podcast. We'll be right back with this week's Think Tank guest, but as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, you heard me say before, every single one of these companies I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. I really recommend that you try them out. So take 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our interview, and then go and visit these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to K-12 Sports Tech for sponsoring the Think Tank. And if you're not familiar, K-12 Sports Tech helps athletic directors and sport vendors connect through education and hands-on consulting services. K-12 Sports Tech also has its very own AD Think Tank, and they encourage you to join to help influence how companies shape their tech to better serve schools. To get started, just go to k12sportstech.com. That's it, k12sportstech.com. We also want to thank Athletic Surveys. You know, athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a very small group that only wants to complain. Athletic Surveys will connect you to that group so you can hear their concerns and hopefully deal with their challenges. At the same time, they're going to connect you to the 98% of your stakeholders that support your program. And having that data in your hands is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. athleticsurveys.com. We want to say thanks to Hometown Ticketing. Hometown is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. Go to hometownticketing.com. Their team is going to help you make the best decisions for your online ticketing. It's digital ticketing that offers more. hometownticketing.com. We want to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. My assistant athletic director, along with thousands of others, got his master's at Ohio University, and it was a great experience. It's very affordable, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're earning your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. Call 800-730-2753 for more information on the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration. We'd like to thank Home Campus for their support. As an AD, I used Home Campus every single day, and so will you, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. Their athletic eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. To get started, just go to homecampus.com. That's it, homecampus.com. We'd like to thank Gipper. Your student athletes are on social media, and if they're not seeing content that celebrates their accomplishments and promotes your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. It's used and trusted by over 20,000 programs, and the Gipper team will have you creating world-class content in seconds, whether it's a social media post celebrating a big win or an entire template to create a newsletter to show your constituents all the great things you're doing. The Gipper team is there for you. It's professional graphic design made easy. How easy? So easy even I can do it. Go to Gipper.com to get more information. We'd like to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com. You're going to be very glad you did. We'd like to thank Snap Raise for their support. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school because it works. Go to snapraise.com. You can check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We want to thank our good friends at Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an athletic director, I made sure our school was a Huddle school. And our coaches just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our student athletes love the videos and our parents love the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, turn your school into a huddle school. And we'd like to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the different events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touch screen. That's right, touch screen video consoles. It's also a great way to showcase your school's unique history and brag a little bit about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check them out today. That's vitalsignswalloffame.com. Welcome back, everybody, to our new series that we're calling the AD Think Tank. Every week, we've got some experts from the world of athletics. Some are high school, some are college, some are out in the world, but they all have a connection as an athlete, as a coach, as an AD, sometimes all three, and they share their wisdom with us. Presenting her first Think Tank segment is a podcast veteran. We're visiting today with Maddison Hommey. Regular listeners will recognize that name. She was a guest on the podcast. I thought she did a great job, and I thought her perspective would be a great one to have in our think tank. Just a little bit about Maddie. She was a Division I soccer player at Longwood University. She's got her own story about that. Also, she was very active in the student leadership aspect while in college. She is a NCAA referee for the sport of soccer, and she's still at Longwood. She's in their marketing and recruiting department. She's a media specialist. And again, she's going to share some of that. But Maddison Hommey, welcome back to the Educational AD Podcast.
Thank you again for having me, Jake.
Well, you and I were talking before we started to record. For our listeners, we're doing this on January 8th, so it's going to be pretty timely when you listen to it. It's a busy time. Classes are back in session for both high school and college. So I'm going to get out of the way and say, Maddison, what do you have for our listeners on this segment of the AD Think Tank?
Absolutely. And I think you mentioned it a little bit, Jake. I have my foot in a lot of different doors, so to speak. I have some marketing perspective. I was a college athlete, a soccer player. I've been an official for a number of years. I've worked as a coach to some capacity. And so I think one thing I really want to talk about is the value of experiences and the value of just opportunities that students can receive. I myself am the product of a great number of opportunities, and some of those I've created for myself. Some of them people have poured into me and maybe said, "Hey, what about this? Why don't you try this?" and believed in me. And that goes a long way. And I think for all the listeners of the Educational AD podcast, they are in a prime spot to be influencers of young people like myself who can take advantage of the opportunities out there for them. And so I just want to talk a little bit about how do we create meaningful opportunities and meaningful experiences and set our students and our players and our athletes up for success in the world. And so for me, it starts pretty small. You know, I would not be an NCAA official if I hadn't started officiating when I was, I think, 14, 15 years old. And that was just something like, hey, here's a little job. I had a couple friends that were doing it and they opened my eyes to it and I took it and ran with it. I never stopped. I think there's, opportunities out there though that we can encourage our players to give back to the sport that they love by learning to be an official. It opens up their perspective as a student, as an athlete, as a person, and it helps them develop professionally. And I think that is so, so critical these days. We probably look at some of these younger generations. I know I feel it myself, and I don't think I'm that far removed from college, but from when I was a freshman, and there's all these seniors who are amazing people with high expectations. They're dedicated, they work hard, they give 110% every single day. And now we see some of these younger college players coming up, maybe it's high school, and a lot of people feel that entitlement from them, feel like they're a little bit more lazy, they're not as dedicated, they're into the social media and their phones and how they're perceived and all that stuff. They're not ready to just be gritty players and get down to business. And so I really think that the opportunities we provide athletes outside of their sport can translate into the game and help them have some of those skills and tenacity as they play. And some of that comes from learning empathy. If they were to go officiate a couple games for some young kids their age, they see, hey, this maybe isn't so easy. I should probably give some patience to the referee for my own game. I think that's really important. I think also there's big opportunities out there. So there's small opportunities for people to develop. But I was fortunate to take advantage of opportunities to travel and expand my worldview. I started small when I was in college as a member of the Student Athlete Advisory Committee. And next thing you know, a year or two later, I'm on the National Student Athlete Advisory Committee. And I was just granted that opportunity from a small thing. And then I had, a senior woman administrator on campus. I had athletic trainers, athletic directors who all believed like, hey, you can do this. Your voice is important and you can represent our university. And then also you can represent our entire Big South Conference at the national level. So here I am. I'm from Longwood University in Farmville, Virginia, sitting around a table with one representative from every single Division I conference in the country. And wow, is that an opportunity for me to develop professionally? But my point is, it doesn't have to be that big opportunity. It can be something small. And I think we as athletic directors and coaches can invite those opportunities. There's a chance for me when I was on campus to take initiative and set up a weekly or a monthly meeting with my athletic director and come to them and say, hey, here's how Longwood student athletes feel right now. We're really interested in this project, tackling this new event, in changing the way we do this. Whatever it may be, I think there's a lot that can be learned from that experience of how to communicate, how to talk with professionals, how to advocate for yourself, but how to do so in a respectful and appropriate way. Because I think that's what we get into with some of these individuals. They're like, I need this and I need it now. And it's that sort of instant gratification age, right? We can have everything at our fingertips, but we need to give them skills and help them see that you can advocate for these things and we will listen to you and work with you on that, but it's going to be collaborative and you need to come to me with the same respect that I'm going to give you. And that's something it's easy for us to take a step back and see that. So maybe as the athletic director, you find a council of leaders on your teams and you invite them and say, hey, this month we're going to sit down and I want to hear how your experience is. How's it going? And for you to invite that conversation and be open and honest and authentic in it, I think it gives a lot to those young people who want to be able to have a place where they can speak and share their voice. So all of these experiences, I just think are so impactful and they help develop not only players, but also people. And that's what we need. We need good people out there who are doing good things and want to dedicate themselves to future generations of young people. But I also think there's some other opportunities out there. I think we have this idea and there's a lot out there of travel, 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 but it's so expensive to do, right? Well, I was able to take advantage of opportunities that really, I think, enhanced my athletic experience because I was able to take a step away and meet other people and see, hey, these are some students on campus that have no idea that we as athletes even exist, but I can interact and I can work with them and bring those team building skills back to my own team. And so I went on an alternative breaks trip while I was at Longwood University, which is basically a service trip. I went to Puerto Rico, I think my sophomore year, spent $300 for all airfare, food, lodging, total. I don't think I spent another penny while we were there. Everything was included. And so that was an opportunity that I took advantage of, knowing that, hey, we're sleeping in kind of a hostile-ish situation. It's just us. We were safe, all of that. But we're going to rough it a little bit. And those opportunities build skills too, because now we have me as an athlete interacting with other individuals at the school, telling them about my experience, inviting them to come to a future game. And we're all sitting down and we're making the meal together that we budgeted for, we went grocery shopping for when we got here. And that's building me as a person. I was a sophomore in college. I think I had just started living off campus, learning to do some of this stuff myself. And that was so important. And it helped me develop as a leader as well. It carried on into my team experience and helped me see that I can be a role model to others. I can encourage them to get involved in other things. I was able to, someone on my team poured into me to get me involved initially, and I was able to encourage some others to then turn around and come back and get them involved as well. And that's really, I think, the core of leadership is encouraging others to be a leader, giving that those tools and seeing that you believe in them. And so really all of that stems down to, like I said, the experiences I've had. I've dipped my feet into so many different things, but I wouldn't know those things were out there if someone else didn't approach me first, encourage me to get involved, or if I didn't go out there and search for those things. So I think I really want listeners to just know that if your student, your athlete is interested in, another example for me, maybe they're interested in special education. Well, I went on a free cruise where I volunteered as just sort of I wasn't even a teacher. I was just there to be kind of hands and help out so that a family of a child with student needs could take a vacation and they could leave their child in our trusted care. It was, some individuals with education background, special education, maybe behavioral specialists, all of these different roles, occupational therapists, and they were able to leave their child with us so that they can enjoy a little bit of time. They can do things with their child who has special needs and just enjoy that time together. And there are so many incredible opportunities out there, but we need to help our students find them. So if you have a player interested in an internship in this experience, I think doing the work to get them there is just as important as doing the work for them to be successful on the field, because at the end of the day, we really want successful young people. And we know that maybe 1% is going to go on and keep playing pro or is going to go on from high school and playing college. We need to cater to the 99%. And that 99% needs meaningful experiences and opportunities that I think we can all help give them.
Wow, you probably saw me scribbling down notes. Such great advice, and I'm just a tiny bit jealous because you've got this figured out. At the beginning of your career, it took me such a long time to appreciate. People were probably trying to tell me all along, but I can remember a moment. I'd been a teacher, I'd been a coach, I'd had some success. So, local, maybe a little bit at the statewide level. Nah, not even really. And I was almost 50 years old when I went to my first state AD conference here in Florida, and sitting in the course, the first course I was taking, it was just great. And here's ADs just like me, except younger, teaching the course. And I went up to them after the 4 hours and I just said, "Hey, thanks a lot. You guys were great." And the guy looked at my name tag. He goes, "Hey, you're down there in South Florida. We need a rep from that area. Would you be interested?" And that moment, by me saying, "Well, yeah, sure," started, I was got on committees. I became, the president of our state association. I got involved nationally. I just, last month I got a national award. None of that happens without going to that conference, without going up, introducing myself to that speaker. And it's just so easy to do, but it's so critical and it's so impactful to your experience, your world, and your career. And so thank you for sharing that message. And that was just one little nugget that you shared. There were a ton in there. Let's go and jump to the chase. Maddie, if one of our listeners wanted to reach out and pick your brain just a little bit more, and listeners, you got a tremendous resource here. How do they connect with Maddison Hommey?
And I think that's the big part of it. And what you just said, Jake, is building this network, right? And so if anyone would like to connect with me anytime, you can find me on most social media at Maddie Hommey, and it's Hommey, not spelled like homie as you would say, and also on LinkedIn under the same name. Or you can email me at madisonhommey@gmail.com anytime.
Okay. And again, Madison works at Longwood University, marketing, media relations. She's as she said, she's got her toe in quite a few pools there. Madison, thanks so much for sharing with our listeners. All the best as we continue 2025, and we're going to look forward definitely to your next segment on the AD Think Tank.
Thanks so much, Jake, and thank you for the opportunity. I look forward to the next one.
Oh, absolutely. For our listeners, we want to say thanks to you. And just a reminder, we upload the Zoom recordings of every interview to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this segment every single week, and just about every day we try to share stories and best practices from the world of athletics. So come back and join us again on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. Wow, what a great segment. Don't forget, connect with Maddison Hommey. She's on LinkedIn, she's on Twitter. Add her to your network. Speaking of adding to your network, we want to give one more shout out to all of our sponsors. This wouldn't happen without their help. K-12 Sports Tech is the sponsor of our AD Think Tank. Our regular sponsors also help out without question. Gipper, Huddle, Hometown Ticketing, Snap, Raise Fundraising, Vital Signs Wall of Fame, Ohio University and their online masters, Home Campus, Sideline Interactive, and Athletic Surveys by LifeTrack. Again, these are all companies that I used. You should be using them too. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on the AD Think Tank on the Educational AD Podcast.